I shouldn't have read it, but now I can't forget. It was just another late night on Reddit, scrolling through r/Nosleep like I always do, chasing the familiar thrill of someone else's fear. I'd seen deleted posts before, threads vanished without explanation, mysterious links removed, warnings buried in archives, but this one was different. The moment I stumbled across the cached version, I felt it. That pulse of dread that hits you when you know curiosity is about to ruin everything. The story's title alone sent a chill down my spine. They deleted this for a reason. I laughed nervously at first, because obviously it was just another sensationalized tale. I clicked, and then the world shifted. At first, it seemed normal. The text scrolled smoothly, the usual Reddit formatting, nothing overtly wrong. But subtle things made me pause, a word that blinked when I read it, a line that seemed to rewrite itself when I scrolled back, and oddly an image that shouldn't have loaded on a deleted post, a shadowed face, watching, almost breathing. My chest tightened. My rational mind screamed, it's just pixels, nothing more. I tried to look away, but my eyes kept snapping back to the screen, as if some invisible thread was pulling me toward the forbidden. And that's when I realized this wasn't just a story. Someone or something wanted me to see it. And now that I had, I didn't think I could ever unsee it. If you're watching this, if you're reading this, I warn you. Some posts aren't meant for human eyes. Some knowledge comes with a cost. And some stories, once uncovered, follow you. That night I learned curiosity is a trap. And the deleted Reddit story wasn't done with me. I've always been one of those people who lives online more than anywhere else. Reddit is my escape, my little window into other people's fears, their secrets, and their strange, sometimes terrifying lives. I'd spent countless nights scrolling through r/Nosleep, r/Glitchin Matrix, and other obscure corners of the internet. It's harmless, I told myself, just reading stories, sharing comments, occasionally posting my own experiences. Most nights, it's just harmless fascination. I'm not going to lie, I've had brushes with weirdness before. There was the vanishing YouTube channel thread, where someone documented a channel that disappeared mid-streaming, only for the footage to appear elsewhere with subtle changes. Or the subreddit post about the glitching text messages that seemed to anticipate the reader's actions. I'd chuckle nervously at those, a mix of amusement and mild paranoia. People online have weird stories, I'd tell myself. But that's all they are, stories. That night, though, I felt a flicker of unease that was different. Maybe it was the combination of too little sleep and too much browsing, or the way the moonlight hit my apartment, casting long, shifting shadows across the room. I kept checking my tabs, scrolling past mundane threads, but then a notification caught my eye, a link to a thread that had been deleted. Curiosity sparked immediately. My finger hovered over the mouse like it had a mind of its own. I knew Reddit had countless deleted stories, posts vanishing without explanation, yet something about this one felt off. I remember thinking how typical it was of me, chasing the next mystery, diving into threads other people ignored, always searching for the forbidden or the forgotten. I spend too much time lurking, I muttered to myself, dark humor masking a shiver down my spine. My friends had warned me, jokingly of course, about obsessing over deleted posts, about getting lost in digital rabbit holes that led nowhere good. But this night, something about the warning felt tangible, like the room itself was listening. And that's when I found it, the story that had vanished for a reason. I couldn't resist. I clicked the link. I thought it was just curiosity. I didn't know it was the beginning of something I couldn't escape. The moment I clicked the link, I expected an error message, a 404 page not found, or maybe just a blank screen. That's what usually happened when posts were deleted. But instead, the cached page loaded instantly, almost too smoothly, like it had been waiting for me. The title was bold, almost screaming at me through the screen. They deleted this for a reason. Below it, the text began normally, an innocent story about a user who claimed something followed them home after reading an old post, but even that first paragraph carried a subtle unease, a tone that made the hairs on my neck stand up. At first glance, the page looked normal. Standard Reddit formatting, a few upvotes, timestamps that made no sense. It was as if the post existed in multiple times at once. The username was strange, a random string of letters and numbers that didn't appear anywhere else on Reddit. I tried to hover over it to check the profile, but it led to nothing. No profile, no history, no trace beyond this single post. That's when I first felt the twinge of wrongness. As I scrolled, I noticed small, unsettling details. One line blinked for a split second before rewriting itself. Words shifted when I tried to read them twice. Occasionally an image would appear in the margin, grainy, black and white faces, almost human, staring directly at me, even though the story made no mention of images. I tapped my mouse, refreshed the page, even clicked away and returned, but every time the same glitches, the same faces. It was as if the post had a memory of me. I couldn't resist messaging my friends. "You have to see this deleted post," I typed. "It's wrong. Something's off." My chat window pinged almost immediately with a half-joking response, "Deleted posts. You mean another r/Nosleep rabbit hole." I sent them the link, but they couldn't access it. 404, they said. "It's gone. Why are you looking at deleted posts at 2 a.m. again?" And then came the first truly unsettling part. While my friends couldn't see the post, I began to receive strange notifications from my own account, alerts that didn't exist, messages in usernames I'd never seen, text like fragments of the story itself. "Don't look away, we're watching." I laughed it off nervously, told myself it was a bug. But deep down, I felt a cold knot in my stomach. This was no ordinary deleted story. It was alive. Or at least it felt alive. And I had just invited it into my world. The first night after reading the deleted Reddit story, nothing seemed immediately different. I went to bed thinking it was just another creepy tale to forget by morning. But when I woke, subtle things began to shift. My phone buzzed with notifications I hadn't received, fragmented sentences, broken words, almost like whispers. "Don't forget me, I'm still here." At first, I blamed a glitch, maybe a delayed message or a weird app bug. But the pattern persisted. Every device I touched seemed to carry echoes of the story, faint reminders that it hadn't stayed confined to that post. It started small. My browser tabs flickered when I hovered over them. Images I hadn't opened appeared in the corners of my screen, only to vanish when I tried to click. Shadows moved across my walls, just at the edge of my vision, subtle enough to doubt myself, but enough to make my pulse spike. I laughed nervously, muttering, "It's all in my head, just too much caffeine, that's all." But I knew it was. The next day, I mentioned it jokingly to a friend over chat. "I think the Reddit post is following me in real life." They responded with emojis, sarcasm, but then asked, "Wait, are you serious?" Because weird things have been happening to me too. That sent shivers down my spine. Could others have seen it? Or was the story targeting those who couldn't resist? Things escalated quickly. My reflection in the mirror seemed off, subtle distortions I couldn't explain. Screens in the apartment glitched in sync with certain lines from the post. Notifications from friends' accounts appeared as if typed by the story itself, carrying warnings or cryptic phrases. "You shouldn't have read this." Each incident was worse than the last, and the dread built like a wave I couldn't escape. I began to obsess. I couldn't stop thinking about the post, refreshing the cached page over and over, hoping to find answers, terrified to discover more. Every glance at my devices, every flicker of light in the room, every unread message became a reminder the story wasn't gone. It was alive in some way, intertwined with my life now, and I was powerless to stop it. By the end of that week, I realized the story had breached the boundaries of the screen. Reality itself seemed to bend around it. I couldn't ignore it, couldn't avoid it, and most importantly, couldn't stop checking. By the time I realized I couldn't ignore the deleted Reddit story, obsession had fully taken hold. I spent hours poring over forums, Reddit archives, and even obscure threads on the dark web, looking for anyone who had encountered the same post. Most links were dead, threads erased, usernames vanished. Yet everywhere I looked, I found breadcrumbs, tiny references, cryptic mentions, whispers that someone else had felt what I was feeling. On a private forum, I found a thread titled "Deleted Stories That Shouldn't Be Read." The first post was from someone who claimed a post had followed them for weeks. Screenshots were fuzzy, distorted, but I recognized fragments, lines that matched what I had seen. "It remembers you," the poster wrote. "It grows when you watch." My heart pounded. Every word felt like a direct message, like the story itself had threaded a line straight to me. I messaged another user, desperation creeping into my typing. "Did you see the post?" "The one deleted for a reason." The reply came almost instantly. "You shouldn't have. It's not safe. Once you've read it, it knows you." A chill ran down my spine. That single line echoed everything I had begun to suspect. This wasn't just an unsettling story. It had agency, a presence, something beyond comprehension that could reach through the digital veil. I tried to trace the origin, following cached servers, image uploads, and buried backups. The story's metadata was inconsistent, timestamps conflicting, authorship fractured across accounts that no longer existed. Every lead ended in static, a blank, or a corrupted archive. And yet, the fragments that remained were enough to terrify me. They hinted at a pattern, a network of deleted posts, each one more disturbing than the last, each one leaving a trail that seemed to bleed into the real world. I scrolled back through my own messages, trying to find the thread of logic. Each comment, each reply, seemed to shift when I wasn't looking, subtle alterations that made me question my memory. The more I searched, the more the story seemed to reach out, tugging me deeper. My notifications flickered, a distorted face appearing briefly in a thumbnail, and then gone. My apartment lights would blink in rhythm with certain phrases I had read. Every investigation felt like a test, and I wasn't sure if I was passing. By the third night, I realized the truth. Knowledge itself had become dangerous. Every revelation, every trace I uncovered, increased the story's reach, its awareness of me. It was no longer confined to Reddit or my screen. It had entered my world, woven itself into my perception, and I had no idea where it ended. I wanted answers, but each discovery only tightened the grip. And still, I couldn't stop. Every forum post, every archived page, every whisper of another user's experience drew me in deeper, as if the deleted story itself was daring me to continue. By the fourth night, the story's influence began to blide beyond the screen. At first, it was small, almost imperceptible, a flicker of movement in my peripherals, a shadow that didn't belong to anything in the room, or the faint whisper of my own name carried on the hum of my computer fan. I tried to convince myself it was exhaustion, my imagination playing tricks after hours of obsessing over the deleted post. But the incidents grew sharper, more deliberate, harder to dismiss. My notifications became a nightmare of fragmented messages and cryptic alerts. Lines from the story appeared where they had no business being, my email subject lines, calendar reminders, even a muted message on my smart speaker repeating a phrase I had read just hours before. "You shouldn't have come back." I tapped my device, restarted it, but each time the words lingered, etched into places they couldn't exist. My rational mind screamed that it was impossible, yet the proof was undeniable. Even my surroundings started to betray me. The shadows along my walls began forming shapes that weren't quite right, faces contorted with subtle agony, just at the edge of recognition. One morning, I found my coffee cup displaced from where I had left it, a single letter scrawled on the counter. "Look deeper." No ink, no marker, just the word, perfectly visible. Panic set in, but along with it, a morbid curiosity that pulled me back toward the story. Every attempt at normalcy crumbled. Work emails contained fragments of the story. Street signs, reflections, even random posts I scrolled past seemed to reference it. Each incident was worse than the last, and I began to lose track of what was real and what was conjured by the post's insidious influence. Sleep became impossible, dreams were filled with phrases from the story, its distorted imagery invading even my subconscious. I attempted to ignore it, to step away from my computer, but the compulsion was irresistible. Every device, every screen, every link pulled me back, as if the story itself had a will, a purpose, a method to track me. I realized then that this wasn't just reading a deleted Reddit post. It was a contract I hadn't agreed to, a tether that had latched onto me, tightening with every glance, every thought, every attempt to seek answers. By the end of that week, I knew one thing: I couldn't escape. The story had crossed the boundary between digital text and reality. It followed me in every reflection, every notification, every whisper of my own thoughts. I had no choice but to confront it, or risk being consumed entirely. I knew I couldn't run anymore. By the seventh night, the story had taken over every corner of my life. My devices no longer felt like tools. They were extensions of something alive, something patient and malicious. The words from the deleted Reddit post crawled across my screens without permission, rearranging themselves, forming new sentences that seemed tailored to my fears. Stop looking. Too late. You invited me. My reflection no longer mirrored me. It smirked, shifted, and whispered lines I had never spoken aloud. I sat in front of my computer, heart hammering, every instinct screaming at me to shut it down, to unplug, to throw it out the window. But I couldn't. It had become magnetic, pulling me closer with the lure of forbidden knowledge. My hands hovered over the keyboard as the post unfolded again, rearranging itself live, the narrative bending to my reactions. I began typing responses, silly, nervous, desperate, and to my horror, the post answered back. Yes, that's right, you see me. The words appeared as I typed. Not in a chat box, not in a notification, but on the post itself, lines shifting as if aware of my intentions. Panic overtook me. I screamed at the screen, "Who are you? What do you want?" The response was immediate, chillingly intelligent. I want what you came for, you wanted to know. You wanted to see. I tried to close the browser. I tried to disconnect. Every attempt failed. The lights in my apartment flickered with the cadence of the text. Shadows on the walls warped into figures, their mouths opening and closing in silent screams. My own voice seemed to echo from the screens, fragmented, distorted, repeating phrases from the story, and sometimes words I didn't recognize. The room felt alive, as though the post had breathed itself into my reality. In desperation, I typed one final question: how do I stop you? The answer was terrifyingly simple. You can't. Knowledge is forever. You are mine now. And just like that, the post went blank, leaving nothing but a frozen cursor blinking ominously. I thought it was over. But the eyes in the reflections didn't vanish, the whispers didn't stop, and the notifications continued. I realized then that the deleted Reddit story wasn't content, it was a predator. I had fed it curiosity, and in return, it fed on my fear, embedding itself into my life permanently. There was no undoing, no safe distance. I was trapped in its narrative, and the line between me and the story had blurred entirely. I wish I could tell you it ended there. That once the screen went blank, once the cursor stopped blinking, I got my life back. That I laughed it off, deleted a few apps, touched some grass, and moved on like every sane person would. But that's not how this works. That's not how it works. On the surface, things look normal again. I go to work. I reply to messages. I scroll through Reddit like nothing ever happened. If you passed me on the street, you'd never know I'm carrying something with me, something heavy, something watching from just behind my thoughts. But the normalcy feels thin now, like a cheap mask stretched over something rotten. The paranoia never left. I still flinch when my phone vibrates. I still pause before clicking links, hovering just a second too long, wondering if this one will recognize me. Sometimes when my Wi-Fi lags or a page takes too long to load, I feel that same cold pressure in my chest, the sense that I'm being evaluated. Judged. Remembered. The worst part is the doubt. I'll catch myself thinking maybe it was all stress, lack of sleep, an overactive imagination fueled by too many horror threads and late nights. That's usually when something small happens. A comment I don't remember writing appears under my username. A notification vanishes the second I read it. A line of text flashes on my screen for a fraction of a second, still here. I've tried talking about it, posting vague questions, dropping hints in comment sections. Most people laugh it off or assume I'm fishing for karma. A few, though, reply with strange caution. Delete this. Stop looking. Some stories erase themselves for a reason. Those replies never stay up long. Sometimes the accounts disappear entirely. So now I'm telling you. Not because I want sympathy, but because I need witnesses. Because part of me is terrified that if no one else knows, if no one else acknowledges what happened, then it can rewrite the story however it wants, and I'll disappear with it. I still check the post. I don't know why. Maybe I'm hoping it's gone for good. Maybe I'm scared of the day it comes back. The link shouldn't work. It never loads fully. But every once in a while, late at night, when the room is quiet and my guard is down, I swear I see the cursor blinking again. If you've ever seen a story vanish mid-scroll or felt like a post knew too much about you, tell me. Please. Because I don't think this thing is finished. And I don't think I'm the last one it followed. Even now, long after that night, I can't fully escape it. The deleted Reddit story lingers at the edges of my perception, a shadow that stretches across screens, reflections, and whispered thoughts. Every time I open a browser, I check out of habit, almost hoping I won't see it, but almost never do I look and not find a trace. A word flickers in the corner, a sentence shifts just as I glance away, and I remember that curiosity has a cost. I want to warn you because if you're watching this, if you're reading this, you might be next. Some stories aren't just stories. Some posts are alive in ways we weren't meant to understand, waiting for someone like you to click, to peek, to linger too long. And the moment you do, they follow you. They see you. They know you. I still catch myself imagining the post on my own screen, morphing into new forms, creating lines that haven't existed yet, shaping itself to the next person who stumbles upon it. And that's the terrifying part, it doesn't end. The deleted story doesn't stay gone. It waits patient and hungry for the next reader brave or foolish enough to uncover it. If you've ever wondered what's deleted, what lurks in the shadows of forums and threads, maybe you should stop. Maybe you should walk away while you still can. But part of me knows you won't. Because once curiosity whispers, once you glimpse what's forbidden, you'll want to see it, just like I did. So if this reaches you, consider it a warning or a dare. Share it if you must, discuss it, theorize, leave your comments below. Maybe together we can understand it, or maybe together we'll draw its attention. Because the truth is, it's always watching, always waiting, and just like me, once you've seen it, there's no going back.